Are you a big fan of being bit? Do you like loud noises? Yes, despite what they say about green cheeks being quiet birds, they're not quiet birds. If you've clicked on this video, then I assume you're trying to figure out if a green cheek conure is the right pet for you. Luckily for you, you're in the right place. Today, Rudy and I are going to go over the good, the bad, and the beaky of owning a green cheek conure. Let's get into it. I don't want to seem like a downer, but the very first thing you need to figure out before if you decide a green cheek is right for you is if a bird in general is the right pet for you. Now, there are tons of videos on YouTube about the joys and the pains of bird ownership, so I highly recommend you check those out as well while you're doing your preliminary research. Now, with that disclaimer out of the way, let's get into a species overview and find out what exactly is a green cheek conure. Green cheek conures are native to South and Central America. They are much smaller than their beaky. See that? They are much smaller than their fellow parrot species, and they only grow to about 10 to 11 inches long from head to tip of their tail. They also are much lighter, and they weigh about 60 to 80 grams. Now, for those of you who don't speak grams, like me, that's about the weight of an extra large jumbo egg from the grocery store. So they are small fellas, but despite that, they pack a lot of personality into this tiny little body. With proper care, they can live up to 30 years in captivity. So that is definitely something to consider before you run out and grab a green cheek conure as a pet. Are you going to be able to provide the same level of care for them now as you will 30 years down the road? Maybe not. But now's the time to be honest before you make that commitment. There are so many fantastic color variations for green cheek conures. You might have heard terms like turquoise conure or pineapple conure. Now, contrary to popular belief, these are not different species of conures. They are all the same green cheek conure, just different color versions of them. And while I've heard that personalities differ with the different color types, I don't know if that's true or not. But I can say for sure that each bird is going to be its own individual. They will have their own individual likes and dislikes, their own personality, and that's the fun part of having your pet bird is figuring out who they are. Are they a big flyer like Rudy? Rudy is what you would call a traditional green cheek conure. This is the normal color variation where their body is green. They've got these lovely red tail feathers, this lovely little red underbelly, and then those blue flight feathers. Now he came to me clipped, so he's finally starting to grow a few of his flight feathers back, but he's still working on it, so he's not the best flyer, contrary to what you just saw. But he is a beautiful little boy. Even though they are small, they pack quite a bit of personality in this tiny little body. They are extremely social creatures, which means they, like most birds, do not do well in a cage for hours on end. So that's certainly something to think about before you get a green cheek. Are you going to be able to offer them that out of cage time they need, that social interaction, that enrichment? Even those of us who work from home sometimes struggle to meet those needs. So it's definitely something you want to consider. Aside from social interaction, they are also highly intelligent creatures. Don't be fooled by the small bodies. They're still pretty smart cookies. And I can personally say Rudy is one of the smartest birds I have ever had the privilege of training and working with. Now, personally, Rudy and I work on target training 1 to 2 times a day, so he gets that mental stimulation and he stays quick with his wits. Yes, you step up. Good boy. Kissies? Good boy. Now here's kind of an ugly truth. Unless you are in perfect tune with your green cheek's body language and most any bird in general's body language, you are going to get bit at some point in your relationship. You'll either misread the cue or it'll take you by surprise, but either way, being bit can be a part of owning a green cheek conure. I want to make that very clear because we've all seen those super cuddly, cute conures on the internet that make us want to run out to the pet store, to a breeder, or to an adoption center, which we'll talk about more in this video, to grab a green cheek of our own. But we're not necessarily guaranteed that they're going to be as cuddly as their internet counterparts. I can tell you for certain, based on personal experience, Rudy is not what I would call a lovey-dovey bird. He loves training, he loves working with me, that's his love language. He is not a cuddle bug. He does not enjoy being cuddly, he does not enjoy too many head scratches, It's very rare that I can get more than 3 head scratches out of him at one time. So he's not big on scritches. But that's okay. That's his own personality, and I love him just the same. So my main takeaway point is, do not be caught off guard if your conure ends up not being a cuddle bug. You need to love them the same and enjoy them in their own love language, whether that's training, just hanging around, but not necessarily being touchy-feely. Here's another reality check for Green Cheek Conures. Kissies. Google will tell you that Green Cheek Conures are some of the quietest parrots on the market, especially compared to some of their conure buddies, like a sun conure. While this might be true in most of the situations, I can tell you from personal experience, Rudy is loud. He is one of the loudest Green Cheek Conures I've ever met. And he also likes to talk. Now, Google will also tell you Green Cheeks aren't big talkers, but he's got a pretty good vocabulary. Although he's too shy to do it on camera, one of these days I'll catch it eventually. But he is a big talker, whereas most of his Green Cheek brothers and sisters aren't. So it just goes to show that every bird is an individual, and it's no guarantee you're gonna get exactly what you expect to get when you get a bird as a pet. So if you're sensitive to noise, that's just something definitely to consider before going out and getting a Green Cheek Conure. Even though the internet has labeled them as the quietest of the conure birds, they are still pretty dang loud. So housing, let's talk a little bit about housing. That's a major concern when you're bringing home a new bird, is housing, where you're gonna put it, and if you're going to have a big enough space to keep your bird in a happy, healthy environment. So that saying, bigger is always better, is completely true when it comes to birds. You want to get the biggest cage you can possibly afford while still being safe for your bird. Now, I give that a qualifier, while still being safe, because bar spacing is not always bigger is better, especially with smaller birds like Green Cheeks. You want to keep that between no wider than 1/2 inch so your bird doesn't risk sticking their head through the bar cage and potentially hurting themselves, or absolute worst case scenario, breaking their neck. You also want to look for powder coated or stainless steel cages that are going to be bird safe and also pass the test of time. It's maybe a more upfront investment, but I can assure you it's worth it because they last so much longer and they are safe for your bird in case your bird's prone to biting along the bars or the top of the cages. They're not going to get any nasty toxins in their system, and you're not going to end up with a multi-thousand-dollar vet bill at the end of the day. Most cages are made for the human eye's aesthetic, so they're made actually taller than they are wider to fit nicely in our living rooms. However, that's not what we want when we're housing our birds. We actually want them to be as wide as possible because birds move side to side. So we want to ensure they have the most space to move around freely in their cages. So definitely look for cages that are on the wider side when bringing home your new Green Cheek Conure. There also needs to be tons of enrichment for your Green Cheek. I recommend using the inside and the outside of the cage for perches and toys to really maximize that play space area. Green Cheeks need a variety of toys and perches, and if that's something you want details on, I can make a whole video of Rudy's top toys. Make sure there are plenty of bathing dish options around because Green Cheeks love a good daily bath, and they will spray water everywhere, and I mean everywhere. So just be prepared for that. After Rudy takes his bath, it looks like someone dunked a bucket of water on the floor. Don't push too far too fast. The best, most solid bonds are developed slowly over time as you build up trust between yourself and the bird. You also want to figure out what your bird's jackpot reward is. Now, I have a video all about the hierarchy treat test, which basically breaks down your bird's first, second, and third most favorite treats. And you want to find their favorite treat and associate that with you every time you interact, especially if you bring home a brand new Green Cheek Conure. You want to take it slow, but give them something positive to associate with you. For example, I'm currently working with a bird right now who is 23 years old. His owner just passed away, and he's very skeptical of new people. What do I do when I hang out with him? I feed him bits and pieces of walnut since that's his favorite jackpot reward. And all I do is just feed it to him when he comes close to the cage bars to reinforce that he's coming towards me, he's getting a tasty treat. And I do that over and over again. It's been weeks of that. And it's slowly, when he sees me now, he comes straight up to the cage bars because he wants that walnut and he knows I'm going to give him something nice and tasty for coming to say hi to me. Now, this is arguably one of the most important points in bringing home a new Green Cheek Conure, and that is their diet. They are voracious and very messy eaters. I lucked out and Rudy is a very easy peasy going eater. He loves fruits and veggies. He loves almost anything I give to him. He is not by any stretch of the imagination a picky eater. He would be a very fat boy if I let him. But that doesn't mean that your green cheek will come home with the same passion for vegetables. Don't be surprised if you have a very picky eater on your hands, especially if they're coming from a pet store that doesn't know much about birds and has them on an all-seed diet. Expect a diet transition, period. And if you want a video on that, just let me know in the comments. I'll be more than happy to make one. It's definitely something I've done many, many times over with my own birds. And I can say I have converted the pickiest eaters over to a healthy, balanced diet. So your new green cheek will need a very high quality pellet as their staple base and lots of assorted veggies, grains, legumes, and sprouts. If you want to jumpstart your bird on a healthy diet, check out my chop video where I share 3 recipes that make 3 months worth of chop for your parrot. In that video, we go over 3 different types of chop recipes that provide a bunch of micro and macronutrients for your bird and ensure that they are hitting all of those daily vitamins and minerals they need to be healthy, happy birds. My final note, and if you've made it through this video, please give us a like and subscribe, but my final note is something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is adopt, don't shop. Now, we've all been guilty of running out to a pet store or a breeder to find a new companion, but if possible, I highly recommend you looking into parrot rescues or your local shelters because many of these parrots have been rehomed. You can still find an excellent companion, usually for a cheaper price, and you're doing something good at the same time. I'll link a couple adoption resource centers below so you can check them out if you're looking for a Green Cheek Conure of your own. And with that being said, I am so excited for you to bring home your new bird. Hopefully this either convinced you or completely deterred you from getting a pet bird. If they've done either, then I've done my job. Because honestly, a bird is a lot of work, and I want you guys to know that going in instead of being taken by surprise once you actually have your Green Cheek Conure. That being said, let me know who you're getting, what their name is going to be, and all that good stuff in the comments below, and we will see you in the next video. Say bye, Rudy. Say bye-byes.